It's better to do something badly than to not do it at all. When should you push back against oppression, despite the danger? When you start nursing secret fantasies of revenge, when your life is being poisoned and your imagination fills with the wish to devour and destroy. We may not exactly be God, but we're not exactly nothing either. Each person's private trouble cannot be solved by a social revolution, because revolutions are destabilizing and dangerous. There are some games you don't get to play unless you are all in. The scope of our behavioral wisdom exceeds the breadth of our explicit interpretation. We act, even instruct, and yet do not understand. How can we do what we cannot explain? Chaos can be too much. The only time no ever means no, in the absence of violence, is when it is uttered by one civilized person to another. The things that pose the greatest threats to your survival are the most real things. You need to determine how to act toward yourself, so that you are most likely to become and to stay a good person. We transform the manifold possibilities of the future into the actualities of past and present. We are increasingly falling prey to the desperation of meaninglessness. Don't avoid something frightening if it stands in your way. Trust is an unbelievably powerful economic force. Maybe the most powerful economic force. People organize their brains with conversation. If they don't have anyone to tell their story to, they lose their minds. Like hoarders, they cannot unclutter themselves. It is better, proverbially, to rule your own spirit than to rule a city. Tyranny feeds on lies. Life is indistinguishable from effortful maintenance. Kindness is the excuse that social justice warriors use when they want to exercise control over what other people think and say. Every bit of learning is a little death. Every bit of new information challenges a previous conception, forcing it to dissolve into chaos before it can be reborn as something better. Sometimes such deaths virtually destroy us. Bad laws drive out respect for good laws. Dress like the person you want to be. Sometimes you have to act out the person you want to be before you become it. Stop saying those things that make you weak and ashamed. Say only those things that make you strong. Do only those things that make you strong. Do only those things that you could speak of with honor. We cannot navigate without something to aim at. And while we are in this world, we must always navigate. The successful among us delay gratification. The successful among us bargain with the future. Dreams shed light on the dim places where reason itself has yet to voyage. If you fulfill your obligations every day, you don't need to worry about the future. Loyalty must be negotiated fairly and honestly. We must each tell the truth and repair what is in disrepair, and break down and recreate what is old and outdated. It is in this manner that we can and must reduce the suffering that poisons the world. It's asking a lot. It's asking for everything. You can't long tolerate being swamped and overwhelmed beyond your capacity to cope while you are learning what you still need to know. Beauty shames the ugly. Strength shames the weak. Death shames the leak. Death shames the living, and the ideal shames us all. You must keep the promises you make to yourself and reward yourself so that you can trust and motivate yourself. The woman is the gatekeeper to reproductive success, and you can't get more like nature than that. In fact, it's the very definition of nature. Choose your destination and articulate your being. When you educate someone, you teach them how to use language to arm them. Straighten them out, organize them, elevate them, and you ennoble them, and then they're not misshapen, half-carved blocks of humanity. You are, on the one hand, the most complex thing in the entire universe, and on the other, someone who can't even set the clock on your microwave. Don't overestimate your self-knowledge. Don't ever underestimate the destructive power of sins of omission. Our society faces the increasing call to deconstruct its stabilizing traditions to include smaller and smaller numbers of people who do not or will not fit into the categories upon which even our perceptions are based.